Good morning again. Now, we are the Purple team. We are Carmen's team. And we came together as individuals yesterday to partake in this 24-hour design challenge. And one objective was to create innovative, realizable design concepts that could be funded through clearly identified research funding organizations. And yesterday we heard from a brilliant range of people who were very inspiring, who'd worked across a whole lot of different ranges with different materials, doing different things and achieving different ends. And when we came together as our 9 people yesterday, we found that, we hadn't selected ourselves necessarily for our team, but our team came together and had probably slightly been selected for the team on the basis that the mission statement of the project was written by Carmen, and it was to meet the challenge of our times by developing a proposal in which commercial success is integrated with and promotes social and cultural development. And when we sat around the table, we found that we had a really big shared expertise. And we started thinking about thinking about projects that might sort of link what Carmen had been doing in the Philippines, which was using a waste product of the pineapple plant to produce a beautiful leather product. And we started thinking far away and different worlds, but then we realized that actually we are now the type of country that we're trying to help. We're actually a nervous, sad country looking for employment and looking for a bit of income generation. And that what we realized as a group of people, a lot of us who have expertise or experience in the area of textiles, that Ireland is full of sheep. And those sheep get shorn every May. There are 4.4 million sheep. There's probably as many as there are people in the country, and that all around the country there are sheds full of fleeces, and the fleeces that nobody knows what to do with. If they can find something to do with it, they sell it to somebody for what they regard as a completely pathetic pittance, which is like 60 cents a kilo. We buy wool into the college for £20 a kilo. And we realised that actually we've got something rich and beautiful here in Ireland, that we have a long history, cultural, economic, tourist history with this wool. And we think, what happens to it when we sell it now? We sell it to some person we don't know, who is very often a Russian, I gather, who takes it on a long ship journey to China where it's processed. And we thought, why can't we do something else? Why can't we re-engage with that material and keep it here and find something to do with it? So we realized that, okay, we were told yesterday that we have to have a product that's both unique and relevant. Now, we thought, okay, we tried to think about, okay, we've got the wool, we know something that exists, that is on the market, and it's wool insulation for housing. So we thought, we certainly know that's a product that does work. We know it's a product that is highly relevant, and that last week, the government announced that it's going to inject money into the economy by funding the re-insulating of houses, already built houses, and the idea of that was to generate income within the building industry, which they've always been very concerned with. And our interest is in taking some of that cash and recirculating it by using our own wool in a way that could produce a product that will insulate our houses. So not only developing the architect or the building construction industry, but also developing the textile or wool trade, the farming trade, the agricultural trade. And we thought that, okay, the product exists, so it's not unique. But what we wanted to do was have a unique angle to our product, which was in our process of engagement with that wool. We just don't want to come up with one industrial product that we can sell here and that we can maybe export. We think that we have got a social agenda and a cultural agenda as well, which is that the wool comes off the sheep and it's dealt with industrially. What we want to do is build a relationship among more people, doing what our t-shirts say, dissolving or breaking down invisible boundaries. That there's a rural population, there's an urban population, cultures and city folk. And we want to say, okay, let's get people really engaged with the idea that wool comes from those woolly people over there, the sheep, and that it's used to insulate houses, and it can be used, as we know very well in Ireland, to insulate people, that it's got warm, cosy, very recuperative, healing properties. So the idea that one of the people were talking about yesterday, that in creating an emotional engagement with your products, wool is something you can create an incredibly emotional relationship with when you find that it actually regains your health. We have used it as a body insulator in Ireland for centuries and centuries, from grand houses, 18th century grand houses, to country cottages. It is really, really warm, and it really, really cures. And the idea of the red flannel that's wrapped around whatever bit of you that is sick, because that red flannel, the dye in the madder is good for you, and the warmth of the wool is good for you. So we've got lots of ways in which we think that this product can be engaged with on an emotional level, and also on an industrial level, on an economic level. And what some of the team got really excited about was the prospect of Woolstock, our festival, that we think that we want to educate people that here in a college where we deal in materials, we deal in education, that most people who pick up that bottle don't really realize that it's different from a mug, and that they come from entirely different materials, and that they're made in entirely different ways. They don't realize, most of the students, even sometimes the textile students, don't know if they're wearing cotton or wool. They don't know if it's what's gone into the dyes that have produced this gorgeous purple. And we want to engage people back with the process that textiles actually come from Ireland. They can be produced here. That this little wool is shorn, and then what happens to it? That lots of processes happen to it that we could make fun. So the dirty, messy, smelly, not so smelly by the way, fleeces, which some of you have got on your table, taken off the sheep and need to be sorted. They need to get the dirty bits cut off, they need to be graded, they need to be sorted out and cleaned, and they need to be washed. And there's no horrible chemicals in the wool once it comes off the sheep's back. It can be washed, producing just clean dirt, not chemical dirt. And from that process, we can get people involved in, doing that clearing and grading, and then maybe spinning, making felting process, which is very simple, very warm, very durable. It could be going for insulation, for toy making, for slippers, for homeware that keeps you warm when you're at home and you're not trying to present a face to the public. Lots of ways in which we can engage with that material. If we can keep it here and do something with it, rather than ship it off and make it into industrial carpet with which we have absolutely no relationship. So our big objective is to create a new relationship in Ireland with an old material. So, no, it's not over. So, we have, okay. So, we've got a second stage. And I'm sorry I took too long.
Okay, my bit is just a shorter bit, and it's on the practical end of things. Where do we go next? What are our next steps? And we see this as being a collaborative design project based in NCAD. But the first step of this would be that we would identify partners and collaborators, and these would include other educational institutes, businesses and industries, including from the small farmer through to businesses that already supply insulation. Our aim would be to develop new research clusters that bring together people from business, science and design disciplines. The next step would be to identify funding for an incubation program. We would have to do research into the product, how it's actually produced, what type of products. I mean, initially we're sort of looking at thermal and acoustic insulation. We'd have to do research into the mechanical processes, what sort of equipment is needed to do this, the finishing processes, and the environmental impact of these processes and producing the material. Obviously, we know that already, even from what our research that we've done over the internet over the night, that wool insulation has a much lower environmental impact than oil-based insulation. It's obviously much safer and it's biodegradable, so we see this as possibly becoming a cradle-to-cradle concept. We would look at the other byproducts that come out of it, such as lanolin, which can be used for cosmetics, and possibly other wool and fleece products as well, from simple products like mattress toppers through to even selling, the fleece back into the yarn industry that still exists here, but is importing fleece from China and other countries. And then the last step would be developing a 5-year business plan. And then the business, of course. Okay.